Welcome to the girls. On today's show, we have a continuation of a show that we had featuring a parapsychologist and medium, Reverend Robyn Marie. Our show was just too exciting. We cut it off too soon because we ran out of time and we were just so involved with this conversation. Lisa Schugardt is joining me again here today, pitch hitting in for Janine, my co-host of the show, and we welcome Robyn again for you to continue on with this show. It was so exciting and we had so many questions. So Lisa, I know you were just bubbling over with more questions.
A half hour just didn't do it justice,
Absolutely.
Debbie. We had so many things, and you're thinking a medium, and maybe people confuse that with a psychic. We hear both terms. And so I guess let's start with, what is the difference between a medium versus a psychic?
It's okay to say psychic, covering everything. A psychic is an umbrella term that's used. So just think of doctors. You're a regular doctor, and then you have specialties. One becomes a back doctor, one's a dentist, one's, you know, this and that, and they specialize in particular areas within that field of medicine. So it's the same way with psychology, parapsychology rather. Psychic abilities, all of us have a level of psychic abilities. We're born with this just as we have all of our other senses. But under that, we will specialize in things, and so I'm a medium. And that's it. I'm a bridge between the worlds. I connect to spirit, and I connect the living with them. So I'm somewhere in between.
And how do you live with this? Like, does it interrupt your daily life?
I've never had a day of my life that this wasn't part of it. So it's just the same as having, let's say, a disability, and you learn how to live with it. But in this case, it's an ability. And so I just use it as a very positive thing and try to blend that into my daily life.
Well, backing up just for anyone that maybe didn't catch the first show that we did with you, you've had this gift since you were 4 years old.
Yes.
So this has become a natural, everyday occurrence for you, that is a natural day for you, to always have spirit and all of these other interruptions, as we were referring to them before, but yes. I guess you welcomed some in, and how do you block them out? How do you just...
Just as if I was having a very busy day or trying to focus on my work, and you're talking to me and I just kind of shut it out, but I hear you talking in the background. It's the same thing with spirit. They're always around me. Sometimes they're talking to me and very intrusive, and I tell them, just wait a minute because I have to do my work.
Are they doing it right now?
Not right at the moment.
Oh, they're being so kind to us. Maybe they're camera shy.
I was just going to say that.
Well, there are so many different ways that you do channel the spirit. And we've spoken about photo scrying, and you do readings, and you're able, through your dreams and whatever ways, and you've written several books, and you have 2 movies, one of which involves a local area, the Centralia, Pennsylvania, which we discussed on the first show. But you also have other ways. And what are some of the other things where you channel spirits, some of the other things that you do? Do you have people write things, or how else do you connect?
Yes, I also do automatic writing, and I have an entire book, The Harvey Boat, that was written through that. Right, and that's another means of channeling spirit, but they're able to trans-channel, and so they step into your body and you allow them to manipulate your hand, that you could use a pen, and allow them to write. And they wrote in life, and they're able to write in their past tense as well. And you can do this with a keyboard or anything else.
Well, to some people it may sound very unusual, or something that they can't connect with, but maybe some people watching feel like they might have that gift. Can they contact you to talk with you about it? Maybe it's troubling some people. And what would you do for that person?
Some very famous mediums have contacted me over the years, and of course I've done this for decades. And so before they got their TV shows and things like that, we've worked together as colleagues. And I do teach this. As I said, parapsychology, so I cover all different topics within psychic abilities. So I address whatever it is that you come to me with. So some people come to me to talk about UFOs, and some tell me that, you know, they're interested in maybe witchcraft, or they're curious about this or that, or just want answers to some of these things that are out there in metaphysics and parapsychology as well. And so I try to address all of those. So I work with you in sessions. So if we sat down for a half hour or an hour, I look at it as the same as counseling someone, which I have counseled in crisis and trauma for many years in regular daytime work. So I look at it the same way. If you came to me and said, you know, I have this spirit and I don't understand, you know, I'm starting to hear things, and is that actually happening to me? A lot of people at first are very troubled by it and don't know what to do with it, or think they're losing their mind, or they're afraid to tell other people. And the thing is, we all have a ghost story, every one of us.
Every one of us.
Everyone.
I guess some people mention that they have a sixth sense. Where does that fall into this?
It's just another physical sense that we have, the same as seeing, taste, touch, smell, all of that. And psychic abilities, we're using our mind. And this is where psychology turns into parapsychology. So it's a branch off of that.
Lisa, did you ever have anything happen where you think of something and then the phone will ring and it's the person you're,
sure,
you know,
think
that
like
you're
deja
thinking about?
vu or something sometimes, or there's an experience. And when you talk to people, do most people, are they receptive of learning about what you do, or are they skeptical? And then maybe they talk to you and they say, she's the real deal.
Skeptical people are not skeptical anymore once they have a conversation with me. And you know, as they say, proof is in the pudding. We did some photo scrying on the last show that we did, and I think I demonstrated that. Obviously, I go into things completely blind. I have no knowledge of the history. I don't know the people. Photos are sent in to me randomly. Or if you came to me for a reading and I never met you before, I don't know your family, I don't know where you live. So I couldn't possibly give you all of those details. I do it all through spirit. They're with you. They travel with you. They were at these locations with you. So they squeal on you and they tell me everything that's going on in your life.
So if someone came to you for a reading, let's say, do they come in and ask you specifically, can you tell me I'm pregnant, am I going to have a boy or a girl? Can you do specifics like that? Or are they just in general things that you're able to do?
I sit and I hold hands, or sometimes I use tarot cards, or I may use crystals, or anything that tries to pull in that energy. And it helps spirit come through too. I try to create a very comfortable setting, maybe low lighting. We're in bright lights right now, so that's why spirit isn't walking right here. They're probably over by the cameramen, okay? And the thing is, make a very calm, quiet setting so we're able to hear. And I ask them, is there anything coming to this lady? She's trying to have a child. Do you see this in her future? And they'll say, my grandson is coming. Or, remember Aunt Betty that passed away? She's coming back into the family. And she's going to be a boy, or she's going to be a pet, or she's going to be, you know, a boyfriend that you have down the road.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. So family members that pass, many times they come back to the same family.
Okay, well, stay right there, because when we come back, we're going to explore more into the life of a medium on The Girls. Be right back.
Welcome back to The Girls. Today we are especially glad to be here with Reverend Robyn Marie. She is a medium, and she is here talking about her life experiences and all her many accomplishments. And before we went to break, we were talking about the different events and the students that you had, but we also brought up the topic now of pets. Is it possible for a medium to channel through a pet?
Very much so. They have a soul, and that's a very common question. Do they have a soul, and do they go on to heaven or a past life? Most definitely they do. But the living pets, they're wonderful to work with, and I actually bring them on paranormal investigations that I go out to, and they have been very helpful. A lot of times when there's a haunting in a house, I go to work with the families, and they want to know what's going on and who it is. And many times people are comforted if I'm able to identify who is in the house. Then they don't feel so frightened or intimidated if they know, you know, this is my father that passed, or this is my aunt. And so pets, I'm able to connect with them telepathically, just staring into their eyes. And obviously I don't speak meow, but there's something that, even with spirit, if they speak a foreign language or whatever, you have a clear cognizance, which is instantly implanted into your thoughts, and you understand. And so with pets, they'll let me know different things that have happened, again, within your home, and certainly from spirits. Animals see spirits.
Well, what can a pet tell you about it? Like you're saying that they see spirits. What are they able to channel through the spirit? What are they able to tell? What have you heard from a pet?
There's a wonderful cat that lives in Rhode Island with this wonderful man that does graphic arts down there. And I've gone to his shop. He does t-shirts and all of that. And his cat is wonderful. And this is a very good example of how it works. He was connecting with me, and he was following me around. And you know, pets are usually friendly, but this, I felt like there was a presence there. There was much more than just a cute little cat rolling around. And he jumped up onto a bureau that was there with drawers of artwork. And he sat up top and he kept staring right into my eyes. So I did that back to him. And so through what is known as remote viewing, we're able to see things played back just as you would a movie. It's very detailed. So he took me back to a time when he was born. And he told me, again, not in our words, but just through clear cognizance, I understood that he had a brother. And so to us, we say brother and sister, and of course that's how he related to me, so it would make sense. And he said, I had a brother, and he was given away. And he said that they were born in the alley outside that building by the staircase. He took me right to the very specific place in a little wooden box. And he said that this man, Vinny, that he had picked them up outside and brought him in. And then he told me that Vinny was in trouble right now because his aunt passed away about 2 weeks ago and he did not go to the funeral. And that she lived across the street from him. I relayed all of this back to Vinny, and yes, and he was thoroughly floored. And he said, I feel really bad, but I didn't make it to the funeral.
So all of it was true through
yes,
the
his
living
aunt
owner
passed away
telling you
2
to
weeks
confirm
before.
it.
He said they lived across from each other, so the house was across. And he said that cat, he said it was a litter of 7 or 8 kittens, and they all died because somebody left them outside by that staircase. I took him to where it was. I said, come, I'll show you. And they showed me how to go through the building and where the stairs were. And sure enough, he said, I found a little wooden box and they were down there and only 2 survived. So the other was a male and he gave him away. That was the cat's little brother that was gone.
And he missed him.
Yeah.
He probably missed his
had
brother.
Memory of it.
Aw, that
That's
poor little
amazing.
thing.
I would never think that you could do
I
anything
didn't think
through
so. I never thought I'd be a cat whisperer.
The cat whisperer. So are there certain animals that are better to communicate with than others? You said
Of
a
course,
cat?
cats and dogs, you know, domesticated animals are wonderful. I've worked with horses as well at a bed and breakfast right in Gettysburg recently that told me a lot of history that went on there. So,
And do they ever
very
tell you that they're
interesting.
hurting or that something's
Oh,
bothering
yes.
them or that an owner is abusing them?
yes, yes. I hear good and bad.
Good and bad. Mm-hmm. All right, well, we have more to talk about here, Lisa.
Well,
How many other things do we have that we
the
had all
list
these
goes on and
questions for
on.
Robyn?
You told me earlier as well that you've been involved in police cases.
Yes.
So that we find interesting. We see that often on TV shows where they'll call in a medium or a psychic or what. So how has that gone? Tell us about some of your experiences with that.
That first started through precognitive dreaming. And this was back in 1981. I scared the living death out of my new husband at the time. And I woke up and you're sweating, you feel like you've run through the dream. And I think sometimes I physically have been there. Like I've astral projected to where the victim has been. And sometimes, unfortunately, I'm in the predator's body. So I'm kind of, how do I say, I'm seeing the victim and I understand the attraction and what they're doing. and why they're chasing somebody and what their feeling is, which it sounds very ugly, but it's very helpful to the police to understand how the abnormal mind works, the criminal mind. So I'm able to take them to a crime scene, and we've solved a lot of murders and different kinds of crimes that have happened this way because I can give them great detail. And so usually it's something that the police are already curious about, but they don't release it out into the news and, you know, to the public. And so I'm able to verify that because I'll tell them great detail.
And have you ever found someone who had been kidnapped that we were able to find someone alive, or do most outcomes end in?
Yes, fortunately, sometimes they are. A lot of these children that we see that are abducted, sometimes is a very good reason why they've been taken, which I find out working in crisis and trauma, as well as doing my spiritual work. So sometimes another parent has hid them for their safety. So it's not always a bad thing that they've actually been kidnapped. It's scary from one end, but there's more to it on the other. And this is also good information that I can pass on to the police so they can look a little further into things.
And do the police call you, or do you reach out to them if you're having a dream about something? Do you call the police from that area? How do you know what to do next?
You have to be very careful because, of course, I don't want to incriminate myself. They'll say, well, how do you know so-and-so was killed? What were you doing that night? So, you know, as a medium, we have to be very careful. But just as I do with the photo scrying and everything, I write it all down. I tell them, you know, I saw this picture that somebody sent me. A lot of times, you know, just friends or family will send me something and say, could you help this family in need? But a lot of policemen do contact me, a lot of detectives that are very troubled by these things, even old cold cases that it's really disrupted their life, and they'll contact me 20 years after the fact and say, you know, look at this picture. What do you get off of this?
All right. Well, I'm going to interrupt you right there. We have to go to commercial, so stay with us. When we come back, we have more with Robyn Marie.
Welcome back to The Girls, a very special show, part 2, because we had so much to talk about with Reverend Robyn Marie, who is a medium here with us today. And many people may say, I am religious, I don't believe in this or what, but you are very religious yourself, being a reverend. So tell us how you incorporate religion into being a medium.
My religious background is very strong. I've been a youth minister for many years within the Roman Catholic Church. I have 12 years of parochial school that I've survived. I have 3 years, the last 3 in high school were spent in a convent practicing to become a nun, of course. So I have a very deep passion and affinity for the spiritual you know, and religion within itself. And I respect all different types of religions. And I believe in the right that everybody should be able to connect with their God or their divine presence however they feel that it's right in their life. And so I know what's okay for me and what I believe in, but I wanted to minister to everybody out there, not just within the Catholic faith. And so I wanted to be a universal life minister so I could minister and do everything that a priest would do. And so I'm able to officiate weddings and baby namings and all these wonderful celebrations that go on within families that may not particularly be Christian.
So if I come to you and I'm of a strong religious belief, do I tell you that and then you'll incorporate that into how you do my reading?
Absolutely. So if you came to me and said, I have a Jewish background, I know a lot about that, and so I would try to incorporate that into the reading and understand that that's your cultural background as well as your religious background. And so I try to keep that tone throughout it and reach you on your level. If you came to me and said, I believe in Buddhism, you know, I know things about that. I've studied all different types of religions. And so I try to incorporate that into, you know, so I can reach you and things make sense to you on your level and your understanding.
So are the spirits considered more the life after death that we know of? That some of us believe that there's life after death. Is that how you incorporate that into this religious and spiritual aspect of it?
I will for you as a living individual, but I know that spirit really doesn't seem to have a consciousness about that. It's not as pronounced. But people that were very religious here in their lifetime sometimes bring that culture within them to the other side as well. And so things within their nationality traits, within their family beliefs, within certainly their religious beliefs, they'll talk about that. But it doesn't seem to matter as much on the other side as it does here.
How about their personalities or their moods? Are they the same type of a spirit with how they come to you and how they speak as we remember them?
Completely. And I love spirit because it's just like meeting you for the first time, and I'm able to sit down and say, well, this is a lovely lady, and look how nice she's dressed. And sometimes they show me these memories, you know, that dressing was very important to them, or certain family traits and beliefs within that culture, and everything was important.
Right, you mentioned that when we were doing the photo scrying on the very first show.
Yes.
You had pictures from someone's home, and you did mention that there was a woman there and how she was very proud of it. She kept herself very nicely dressed and
expected that of the next generation to carry that on.
So the personality comes through as well.
Yes, and I love it. I embrace that. And so it's just like being in a mall and meeting all of these new people for the first time. I use my mall theory because you get a blend of personalities, and they're not frightening. Well, sometimes we don't want to see living people, and you would go across the street when you pass them. You feel that negative energy, and it's the same with spirit. Some are very demon-like. They're demonic.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you ever have spirits that came and really frightened
Very
you, that you're
ugly.
just trying to chase them away?
I laugh at them.
Oh, you laugh at them?
Just, I tell them, try harder. You know, I've seen better things in movies. So, you know, and sometimes cracking a joke with somebody, it kind of lightens things up. And I apply psychology as well. And psychology, as I said, goes into parapsychology. And so it's a specialized branch from that. And so within psychology, we're counseling people. We're helping them. So I sit down with the spirit and I say, what is your beef? Why are you throwing plates in my kitchen?
All right. That's where I want to ask you a question about things that are throwing. I have a picture of my mother, and I keep this picture in our kitchen, and my mother passed away several years ago. And the picture was taken, she worked with me in my store, and the picture was taken by me sitting on the ground looking up at my mother. I just took this picture because she was standing with her arm like this and telling me something, and I just wanted to capture that moment. So I have this picture up on my refrigerator. It's back, secure, whatever. And one day I was at the kitchen sink, and I was doing something, and I was doing it in a way opposite of how my mother taught me how to do it. And in my mind, I thought to myself,
there's the answer right there.
We're here. The picture came flying off the refrigerator. I wasn't near it, Lisa. The picture flew off. It didn't fall off. It flew across the room, hit me, and fell to the ground. And the glass cracked on it, of course.
Yes.
And I looked down, and there's my mother looking up at me, and I thought, what the heck are you trying to tell me?
There's your answer.
Oh, my
She's trying to tell you something. And you consciously were able to say, now that's not what my mother would have done.
Yeah,
and she's very traditional. She wanted it to be kept that way.
Yeah,
so she lets you know. Now people come to me and they say, I've been attacked by a spirit, like that. Like they threw the picture and they meant to have it crack and all that. And it's really not so dramatic to them. Did you ever get upset with somebody? And I have to go to the negative route because you feel it more within yourself when you're upset, when you're angry at someone. And we say you feel like the smoke came out your ears. You know, you feel the blood rush in your face and everything. When spirit is trying to tell you something, you can't hear them. I can. You can't physically see them, and they may be doing this and giving you directions and such, or telling you over here or over there. You can't physically see it, but I can. So it's frustrating to them because many times when they do communicate with me, they'll say, I've been trying to talk to her. I've been trying to tell her something, and they're thoroughly disgusted that you can't see or hear them.
So each of us need to have a medium
Right.
And if they need to get in touch with you, where can they get in touch with you? If you want to communicate with someone and get the message across, where can they reach you?
Yes, they can find me online. Just put in Robyn Marie, and Robyn is R-O-B-Y-N-E. Spelled
Robyn
a little
Marie.
bit differently.
We have everything up on the screen for you. It's been an interesting show. We had some great times here with Robyn Marie. You have to look into more of it if you have more interest in it. Thank you for joining the girls. Did you have a good time?
I had a blast, and this was very educational and
Thank you so
informational.
much.
I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on The Girls.